It doesn't feel like it's the same matchup we saw at the beginning of the season. Right at the beginning of the season, you know, you and I jokingly coined the term orange buff because we were seeing so much control with teleporting mid laners coming up and ganking the Gnar repeatedly, getting the Camille ahead, having that insane side lane later on, like we've seen outside of Korea so much. Because there's the Victor lock-in. It's going to be stable into the Syndra, so not a surprise here. And it's UCal's most played champion this year and in the Kespa Cup. And, you know, looking at this, I feel like the draft was really smart from Afreeca. They kind of held their cards until the very end. It wasn't easy to predict where players were going. The Pantheon is really strong with that potentially, you know, teleports that we're going to see potentially in the top lane to make Doran's life miserable. The Lilia jungle is kind of squishy into this, so it's going to be very difficult for Blank to actually support that, especially as the game goes on, because he might just simply get blown up en route towards the top side of the map. The global presence that you're going to have with the Pantheon makes it so difficult. And if this bottom lane goes badly for Hybrid and Zeus, I feel like Afreeca just run away with this game because the Aphelios pick is so strong. If he starts to get a lead there, then you have global presence, so it's hard to dive him. It's hard to stop him from getting out of control. This game can snowball so quickly out of hand for Afreeca Freecs. It's very terrifying when you think about what it could do if given the right conditions, given a lead in the bottom lane and that Camille snowball we may see in the top side of the map.
Yeah, and every single game is a new chance to turn a new leaf. I think that Afreeca wants a second chance after that first game where they had to have known they were ahead and kind of threw it away and got dunked on by the Syndra. So Fly, he does the donkey thing. He says, well, Syndra's the strongest champion in the game now. I'm going to play Syndra. We'll see how that goes for him. Certainly Syndra does have a lot of power in exactly the moments where Dove was using it in the last game. So excited to see Fly get his chance at doing it here at game number 2 of Afreeca up against KT.
The Samira pick here once again for Hybrid. He has played it now 9 times. And this is KT's mid-game control that they are always operating around. You know, Hirai, he is, you know, putting the emphasis on controlling these team fights with, and controlling these early Drakes with a comp that's explosive. But this comp isn't as all-in that regard as the last one was, because they have Doran on the Gnar, who's going to be able to team fight really well later on in the game. UCal's going to scale really well into the late game. And actually, I feel like UCal and Samira, or rather the Victor and Samira, is one of those combos that makes Samira more powerful in late game than she normally is, because the damage output is so safe and so consistent with the Victor that it does empower your ultimate, where you can go and get those cleanup kills. A lot of other mid laners just don't have that same sort of consistent damage output. They're more bursty. And I think the Victor works very well in this scenario. So KT are not as trapped in tempo-based control early as they were in the last game, I feel.
For sure. Very curious about this top side of the map. You know, how is Keen going to be able to dunk on this Gnar this time around, or is he just going to have an unfortunate time? You can see that so far we've seen 10 matches, actually, of Camille up against Gnar, and it's 5 versus 5. So this one will turn the tides in one direction or the other.
I'd love to see the timeline on that, because I feel like the first 5 for Camille were very early on, and the 5 for the Gnar were later on, as this matchup has been really figured out, and we're seeing Gnars do much better in the top lane. I was talking with Atlas about this before, you know, last week, because I was saying a lot of the time, like, Korea didn't figure out Gnar, and Atlas was arguing, well, I mean, a lot of these top laners have played so much Gnar. He's been meta in so many different other metas across the years, and I agree with that, you know. And maybe I was being a little bit, you know, maybe I was overextending and saying that Koreans didn't know how to play Gnar in this meta yet, but regardless, they are doing better successfully. You know, they're more successful in this matchup, especially later on in the season. So in the specific matchup, it does feel like some adaptations have been made. So far here for Keen, though, a good start.
Absolutely. If there's a guy that knows how to play Camille, certainly Keen is one of them. He's had his fun times on this champion from time to time, as we saw the Demolish taking on the Lulu down on the bottom side, really looking to push their edge early on in this game. They have huge range advantage down on the bottom side. I mean, it's just Aphelios Lulu, a ranged enchanter support up against tank support Rel, and low range AD carry in Samira. So you would imagine that the priority goes the way of Afreeca there. Looks like the mid lane already is going pretty well for Fly. And teleport used up on the top side for Doran to try to get up here.
Yep. Just gonna have to use that one early. We won't lose too much CS. The timing actually works out really well. With that bottom priority, you see the scuttle taken here for Dread. And Blank is coming down to contest a little bit late, actually. You can see the pings there, and he's unfortunately just not able to do anything. Fly is going to be totally fine here. Does get hit, but he's super safe. And they're actually going to try to double scuttle. Yeah. I think this is totally reasonable.
For sure. You can see Ucal's very low on mana, so it's like, well, what exactly am I going to be able to do? Like, throw out one laser? That's not really going to help too much. They have a bit of an engage on the bottom side, as you can see that the Rel, at this point, with the horse's clothes being worn, she is quite tanky, in fact. And we have the flash in. They want to engage immediately onto Lehans. They don't quite have the damage to get on in there, and now the double slow comes in, the double root from Bang. And they will be able to trade back some of those health bars, and Lehans will survive.
We see so many all-ins from Rel at level 3. I mean, that's where she's at her strongest in the lane. And against the Aphelios, or any lane that's really oppressive, sometimes you feel like, okay, they're pushed up, we can commit to this. But without a jungle, it's hard to secure the kills, and the response is really good. Lehans with the instant exhaust. So, really good handling there on the bottom side. And Dread, after double scuttling, is going to make his way back down here. There's no vision, but I don't think that KT are going to pull the trigger on this one again, even though Bang is asking for it. Rel can be very scary if you haven't dealt with her before or you don't know how to respond, but you know, at this stage, like, teams really know, okay, he's gonna crash down, attract repel, that's the all-in. You go and you try to make it happen, but you know, right here, right now, it's just not going to, and Dread's like, please try it.
Yeah, Dread is here, and keep in mind, he hasn't backed at all yet, so if they were to fight right now with Blank now down in the bottom side, it would not look very pretty for that Pantheon. So he's going to pick up the whip as he does go back. Bringing on that Gore Drinker, and
look at the...
saw that Lilia was here trying to make this play happen.
Yeah, look at the Seeker's arm guard early here as well for Lilia. It's a very difficult matchup to play early on in the game for Lilia. Because Pantheon can just stun her, and then you're always going to win that trade. And if anybody else shows up, you usually just kind of get outsped in terms of the damage output. So her damage is very slow. So, going to build an early Zhonya, as it looks like, and getting the arm guard early just signifies, like, she's respecting Dread's power in this early stage of the game, where she is very squishy. Which is part of the reason why, I mean, you talked about Ucal's mana issue, but the other reason why she can't contest the scuttle is she will just get crushed early on if she tries to even tango with the Pantheon in this matchup.
Yeah, got to be really careful. If you're going to try to win that one, you have to run them down over the course of, like, a long span of rift, if you will. This top lane is going pretty nicely. You see that Doran is handling the pressure very well. Keen has been getting pretty aggressive and engaging. This is going to be the third scuttle that goes the way of Dread, so he's feeling pretty good. Bottom lane priority still going good here for the side of Afreeca. Definitely not easy even to see us under the turret here for Hybrid.
Blank. You know, he's up at the top side of the map, so can't deny the scuttle, but because there's so much lane priority here, and the lane is so pushed, like, it's hard for him to commit here, but that's a nice knockback.
Oh, he missed the wallop, though. The sleep does come in, and this will force Keen to flash away, but, man, that could have been better. Looks like that wallop did miss, and Keen was just able to kind of hookshot out of there and be just fine.
Yeah, Hextech Ultimatum was really well timed, and he has to flash, but, you know, could have been a lot worse. And look at this too. Look at the rotation from Dread now, because he knows where Lilia is. He knows the timing, and he's like, "You're dead. Sorry."
He is.
Seeker's arm guard to no. Bye bye.
Very fast, but the red buff is picked up, and the flash is easy. Blank used that flash up on the top side, so just a very simple follow-up first blood there from Afreeca, from Dread, to get even farther ahead.
This is what I'm talking about with this matchup too. Like, and you fail to get the kill on the top side, and you've given over the intel. That's where you are. Dread knows the timing of the red buff take. He knows exactly where you are. And that's why this matchup is so hard for Lilia. Because if you don't get a kill there and you're like, okay, I'll back, get some health back, and then come over, you're at half health and he knows it. And it's like, okay, if you're not there, he gets your red for free. If you are there, he gets your red and you die. So, very oppressive, very difficult to play early on. And it's just going to get worse through this mid game. So, really nice play from Dread. I'm really liking his decision-making on this Pantheon pick so much in both games.
Yeah. And just in general, you know, he's become such a fantastic jungler. As we do have the engage up on the top side. Looks like Doran, he's just trying to trade. He's not really going for any kills or anything. Miss on the stun here. Hextech Ultimatum not available, and Keen is getting in the thick of things as now the Mini-Narc comes out. Did he go a little bit too far? That is going to be the straight-up kill, as two members of Afreeca have to come up to clean that one up. But a nice straight-up one from Doran, at least.
Blank's going to trade back the Drake. And he knows the Grand Starfall just got used, so he feels pretty safe to do this. There's pings going down as well. He's like, okay, I'm going to need a little bit of guarantee here. I want to watch that fight again, because I'd like to see where Dread's Grand Starfall like cooldown was, because it might have actually just still been on cooldown, which is why he came in a little bit too late, because Kane was so reliant on him coming in for the save. And it was like, if it was actually not ready, it would have been like razor thin the timing, which is so unfortunate for Kane on the top side, but we may or may not get that replay. I said 2 games, by the way, for Dread. It was obviously Fly who played it last game.
Yeah.
But KT with Afreeca with the good Pantheons. Okay, we're gonna.
And you just know we're gonna get the replays. This is the LCK. We're even getting this replay.
Yeah.
This is from ages ago when Blank gets caught.
Yeah. Okay. So, do I get to see the ultimate cooldown? Yeah, it's actually available. So a little bit late on that one. He actually walks away. Look at him on the minimap. There was a miscommunication here, especially because Fly is here as well. I think that's a little bit weird. So a little bit of miscommunication as to when that should have come through. Because if he didn't have his ult available, I would have been like, ah, okay. But he definitely did.
And sometimes the ult cooldowns can be a little bit strange on the replay, like on the spectators. But
yeah, it's possible.
In that scenario, I think he absolutely should have had it, because I don't remember him using it at all, right? So, yeah, just, you know, a little bit of a mix-up there, but perhaps saying, okay, I don't have Hextech Ultimatum, you know, this isn't a sure thing, I'm not really sure if I can lock him down, oh, I missed my hook shot, you know, stuff like that. And so, yeah, turns out to be just the 1-for-1 trade in the end, of course. Afreeca still are in a great spot. I mean, they're up 2,000 gold at this point in the game, certainly feeling pretty good about that at this point in time.
Yep. His bottom lane is going very well for Afreeca, but it's not, you know, one of those Philios games where he gets everything, and this is just a crushing victory, although they are looking for more here. As Dread rotates down, his Starfall is almost available. He's just going to drop the Rift Herald. He might still re-engage back in if this turret goes down after the charge. Like, he's roaming around, he sees Blank. They want more. This is a really nice timing, actually, for the Pantheon.
Yeah, he's just going to engage immediately, but with the sleep coming in, Fly is really the problem. He gets the first rotation down, and this is a 4-on-3 in favor of Afreeca. They're desperately trying to kill Dread, but they absolutely cannot. Not with the wild growth, at least. The flash comes in, Zeus is going to go down, and Afreeca this time, it's this turn, their turn rather, to dominate this game, as they are really bringing it to KT this time around.
The timing on this means they get an extra charge on this Rift Herald, so that's really nice as well. This is going to be so much damage to this turret. It doesn't have plates, obviously, so not going to get any extra advantages from the gold, but this is perfectly timed with the Rift Herald coming through, with the lane pushing so hard. It's a really well-executed dive that, like you said, involves Fly as well. I mean, everybody's in on it. This is no secret. This is just really nice play, rotation-wise, for Afreeca. And if we could actually rewind time and we had a better response for Dread in that top lane replay we were talking about earlier, where we weren't sure if he had his ult, seemed like he probably did. This is almost like a perfect game from Dread. He's playing so well around controlling his objectives. He gets slept, but he has his shield up, so he peels through all of this damage. He's a big damage soak. And then the explosive rotation over from Fly means nobody can get out of here. The timing of this is so perfect. They get so much extra value out of the Rift Herald. And, I mean, this is Afreeca taking control over this game right now.
Yeah, it's almost like they're angry after game number 1. They're like, okay, we really got to shut this one down this time around. And I think their comp, certainly at this point in the game, has a little bit more of a reason to. You know, they have the ability to in this game. You can see the gold differences. The bottom lane is really where the massive gap is. I mean, it's 2,000 gold already. UCal has to flash away from a pretty simple just sweep and hook shot coming in from the Camille. And nothing seems to be going right here on the side of KT.
Yeah. Their comp can stabilize, for sure, but the scary part is the Aphelios, right? Who already has his Kraken Slayer up. And the objective control that I think KT have struggled so much with early on. They got the free Drake, right? Blank got that earlier when there was the commitment to the top side of the map, but the next few objectives, like this Infernal Drake, I think they're really going to struggle to take control of. You know, we do have the lane swap, so Aphelios is on the top side of the map. That's a big boon for KT, because obviously he doesn't have teleport. But I think it's going to be very difficult for KT to actually say, this is my Drake, this is my fight, to actually commit. And you see the rotations already coming down. As Afreeca are just like, yeah, we're not even going to commit everything for this. If you send the Samira down slowly, then Aphelios actually just walks right back to the top lane. Look at him hiding in the river there. He's like, oh, you're going to send the Samira down? I'm just going to get more push on the top side. Macro game here for Afreeca is superb. Like, I'm loving it.
Yeah, they should have pretty free Drake control here. Doesn't seem like they want anything to do with this, KT. They just let it go. And we'll see what it's going to be. Is it going to be that Cloud Soul? Yes, it will, of course. We're very well known now, all of us, for the Cloud Soul.
You're number one, though. In terms of percentage.
Well, I'm percentage, yeah, I suppose. Who knows if those stats were legit? I didn't agree to that census.
Could be fake news, actually. Like, we didn't counter check it. We didn't actually fact check that.
Very true. Who knows? Maybe he just made up the numbers.
Well, I trust him.
Yeah. There's a lot of Cloud Drakes, a lot of Cloud Souls, I should say, in the LCK. And we're going to have one here. So, Afreeca with a Mountain Soul could have been nice. I mean, they don't have any, like, huge tanks that are going to be stacking resistances or anything like that, but the extra shielding and, you know, the bit of resistances on the inevitable small resistance items that they do build would have been nice anyway. And, yeah, they're in total control of this game, so I don't even feel like they have to rush things or anything. They have the super fed Aphelios, they have the Samira in the mid-game, who is just a monster, like...
Well,
did I say Samira? I meant Syndra.
Yeah, well, the Samira in the mid game that is a monster is unfortunately not with a comp that allows her to be that at this stage, right? And she does have the Immortal Shield Bow. Blank is hiding here. I actually,
oh, the buffer!
So well handled.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was a handsome maneuver from Keen. What a handsome gamer.
Well, guess what? Now, now Dread's just like, okay, I know where you are. Gonna be super aggressive. The ping comes through instantly from Hybrid. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's in there. But yeah, we saw the back earlier where he bought the Immortal Shield Bow that Bang was waiting for. He's like, oh, I see you back. I'm just gonna push top. End up getting that turret down now. And, you know, normally when you see the Immortal Shield Bow, you're like, okay, this is time for KT to fight. But in this draft, I think they just have to play patiently and they have to wait. And because it is a Cloud Soul, I think they are actually okay to be patient here. And they don't have to force even this next fight necessarily. They just need to stay stable. They give over the second Rift Herald. Not going to fight for that. Just sit back and farm up. Enjoy the show. Because when you go to the late parts, that's when UCal is going to be able to do a ton of damage. That's when you're going to have the big Magnet Storm into Inferno Trigger after UCal's Death Raid like 6 times in the fight. Drops his ultimate. You can see a Sleep to start it all off. You can use a Sleep for Disengage. Doran gets a lot of value later on in those late game objective fights. So, you know, we're looking for a Baron fight next, probably for KT. Where the next place they should be aggressive. Maybe the next Drake after this Cloud Drake that's spawning in 2 minutes. That's where they're going to look to start to really fight. But right now, just have to sit back and wait. So a little bit of a lull state here. A few of those today.
Just a little bit. And, yeah, the Syndra is definitely an interesting champion to talk about because... Well, I'm going to have to hold that thought. As Keen is getting in here onto Hybrid, you know, he has that damage, but here comes the S rank, and he's got some friends but the hybrid will eventually go down, and Lehenge is coming up here to the top side. UCal, you can see him burning down Dread. There comes the exhaust. They're going to take out Dread immediately. And now KT has the rest of their team in position to collapse, and they're going to get on top of Keen as well. They take out that Camille, and the rest of Afreeca just going to have to back away in the KT jungle
Yeah.
from that fight.
2 teleports used for KT for this, but Afreeca Freecs not tracking those teleports, thinking they had the numbers advantage. They're going to kill a Samira who's side laning. You know, that's the power of Camille, right? Sometimes you can just threaten those side laners, kill them, and then push bigger advantages. And yeah, you do force out teleports, but KT handled the situation very well. End up getting a really nice trade as a result. And trading even like this, essentially, which is where KT's at, like, that's what they want to be doing in this stage of the game.
Yeah, and you take a look at who got the kills. I mean, UCal with the double kill. He's 2-0 now. He has kept up the entire time with the Syndra. So even though Fly has been roaming around the map, he's been incredibly annoying. Speaking of being incredibly annoying, thank you very much, Hybrid. He's delayed that back now twice, which is quite annoying. I mean, Fly would really love to get the back before this Cloud Drake comes in, but yeah, I mean, that's big kills now onto your mid carries. So here's the fight once again.
I mean, this is a really nice timing for Keen to threaten the Camille, right? Or rather, threaten a Samira with the Camille. But the teleports are there, right? And UCal comes in here, Doran teleports in, and suddenly this is not a winning fight anymore. It's a 2v2 in the top side, it's a trade, but Doran has so much sustainability, it's so much long-lasting power when Hextech Ultimate has already been used. Playing gets asleep to make sure that's a lockdown kill there, and you just have to back away if you're Afreeca. You can't match that rotation. You don't have the speed to come in and trade it back.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, you know, this game, Afreeca's ahead 5,000 gold, okay? But it doesn't really feel that way, right? They have a lot of value. They have this really big Syndra at this point in time. But KT are just so confidently moving forward and trying to take as much of the map as possible. They're looking to trade objectives here, even from behind. I like how proactive they're being, even though they do have to give away that Cloud Drake.
They're trying to make every bad trade into as least bad as possible. Uh-oh.
All right, I take your I don't even know what to say about that. That's literally just you walk straight into a Syndra. And that's going to be the way that one goes. Flank does get away because he's a fast horsey, but the rest of his team not as lucky. Hybrid and Doran getting caught out there. Pretty unfortunate spot. Great lockdown from Fly. Yeah. He says, by the way, I'm playing Syndra.
Well, they tried to push mid, right? They were like, okay, we're going to give the Drake. We can't fight that, right? This is what I was saying, is skip this Drake, go to the next one. But they were like, we'll push mid, we'll get something small out of it. I like the proactive play, but because they stayed a little bit too long, and Grand Starfall is a great chasing tool, they end up losing someone. Now they have no vision over this Baron, and they're going to give that up too, to Afreeca, because they chased too long, they stayed too long. And this means that, you know, some of that farming and scaling is just not even going to be possible or realistic anymore. So, you know, they pushed for mid. Doran stays too long. This is actually on him. I mean, everybody else is pretty decently positioned.
Walked right into the city.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Hybrid gets stuck. Like, he can't get out of there. Grand Starfall just makes it an easy chase. So KT trying to look for something in the mid lane, staying too long, and now it's a Baron.
Ooh, look at this, though. Fly in a really awkward spot here, getting run down, and Doran is angry. Doran smash. That's literally what he did. Smash that Syndra into the ground.
Very impressive. Very big kill here for KT, trading it back. I think we're going to take a look at it once again. As yeah, Fly is trying to teleport her back, and he's back. He's caught. Like, in Fly's defense, this was actually a really big heads-up play from Doran. In Fly's defense, that he had Baron buff, so it's a very quick back, so you feel pretty safe there. Like, I can't blame him as much as I can praise Doran for actually just saying, oh, I think I can push this.
Absolutely. Just really good heads-up play. I think, like, Doran, after he died like that, like, Doran's a fantastic player, right? Like, which is why I criticize him so heavily, because I expect more from Doran.
Sure.
And so I feel like he kind of got woken up a little bit by getting killed by Syndra the last time around. And
revenge.
he was, you know, he's got his head screwed on straight this time around. So he gets his revenge, and he's ready to go. So we'll see what he's got left in this one. KT definitely not in the best position. Afreeca really trying to make this lead into a win and push this into a game 3. They're 7,000 gold ahead, so feeling pretty good this early on in the game.
Ooh, nice damage here on the Zeus. Gonna have to back away. The mid push is there. The top push is there. It's just Afreeca really just trying to gain control of all these turrets, get some extra vision for this upcoming Drake fight. And, I mean, obviously all the gold that comes with it, so solidify their lead. And unfortunately, KT Rolster is spread a little bit thin trying to deal with all of it. Their comp needs to fight together. They need to be grouped. They're actually at weakest when they are split apart. As you can see on the top side, even Doran is like, you know, having some trouble by himself dealing with the Camille push. And if they group up to deal with Dread, then Afreeca can just push the bottom wave. They're getting picked apart pretty hard because Afreeca can 1-1-3, or, you know, 1-3-1, whichever way you want to put it. In this case, it's 1-1-3 in terms of the top to bottom, but their comp is so good at actually sieging down these turrets.
It's really fantastic, right? I mean, Aphelios, Syndra alone are just really, really good at that, and not to mention the split pushers. So, just really trying to get as much value as possible. Bang goes a little bit too far forward. You can see that UCal trying to punish that. Here comes the crash down, getting that big engage from the side of Zeus, but now you can see the front to back as Dread will rotate on over, and Fly just does a little bit too much damage. We also got a fight up in the top side, Keen. He's looking to smash down Doran. He wants to get revenge for his ally, as moves forward and actually avoids the sweet spot on the sweeper, trades the kill, and actually makes it so that top side won't be broken down.
Yeah, they're going to save the inhibitor with that trade. You'll take it 100%. It's unfortunate for KT that had to be a trade instead of a kill, but that's the power of Camille, you know, and he's got his Hydra up, he's got his Trinity Force, he's pretty fed, and he's going to be able to push through and force a fight like that kind of out in the open in that vacuum. As, you know, at the same time here, this is when KT are like, okay, we have to group. Maybe we can 4v3 this. Look at how overextended Afreeca are here. So they decide this is their moment. You know, you see UCal ult, and then there's a big magnet storm coming through. Zeus is looking for the attract repel. But the Grand Starfall makes it so easy to trade back. And now you're in a really nasty spot if you're KT, because you can't stay here anymore, but you still have to deal with the top push. And everybody's gotten low. They can't rotate over to save Doran, because he's too far away, and then if they do, then they give up more on the base. Like, you're gonna lose inhibitors no matter what, or you're gonna lose an inhibitor no matter what, and they're just spread too thin. Afreeca get the next Drake, and Valdez, this looks like Afreeca have too much of a lead at this stage. I mean, I thought KT might really be able to pull it back on some of these later fights, but with the whole map open, the inhibitor down, it's gonna be really tough.
It absolutely will. We're in a spot now that Afreeca, I think they don't want to let go of their lead like they did in game number 1, and they've been doing a good job of it. KT do have some outs, right? Like, UCal is pretty massive. He does have the most farm in the game. 302 is really impressive, 26 minutes into the game. He's 2-0-1 at the same time, and we see what kind of damage that he does do. But again, other than that, it's not much. I feel like Doran is really trying to smurf his way into a win, but it's difficult as the game comes along, even though, you know, he's able to stand up to the Camille now. Eventually, he's just not going to be, unless he gets like a good position with his Mega Gnar. But Camille can kind of control those fights. You know?
Yeah.
Speaking of Mega Gnar, gets in there, gets the double wallop as well. Gets a massive engage, but the team gets stunned on the back line, and so the follow-up is just not there. And in goes Keen looking for that back line. Does he have the damage? He's getting poked out. He gets taken down, and a double Zhonya's in the mid lane means that they're actually going to survive. As Dread flashing forward, not sure if he's even going to be able to win this fight here. KT playing it really nicely front to back, but in the end of the day, the wallets are just too large here on the side of Afreeca, and they will eventually smack KT back into their fountain.
Really strong engage tools on the side of Afreeca Freecs. They have the damage number, they have the damage output, they have the wallet advantage, as you said. They just have better items. They have such high damage output on top of the engage. You know, you drop your Zhonya's or not, it's only going to buy time, but there's no follow-up damage. They can't actually kill the Afreeca Freecs despite the survivability, and this looks like an inevitable end.
Does feel inevitable. Hybrid's doing his best golden statue impression, but that's about all he's got here. You can see Dread with the wild growth. Looks like that should be enough. He is going to go down, but we also do have the polymorph onto the Victor. He's staying alive for
Lens?
not too much. Doran is really trying to stop this, actually, as Bang is just going to get those autos down just barely for the victory. Afreeca were very far ahead in terms of numbers for the largest portion of that game. I do like KT's tenacity, though, to try to stick in that one, but a big win for Afreeca to tie things up.
Yeah, their comp definitely could have worked in the later stages, but they got too far behind. This is an immaculate macro game from Afreeca, and Dread in particular had such a standout performance on the Pantheon. To me, I look at how he just bullied Lilia, was aggressive in the bottom side of the map. Afreeca knew how to choke KT Rolster out of the game. They were non-stop being aggressive. The side lane power that Camille gets later on just became so much easier because every time KT tried to rotate to match, you know, the Grand Starfall comes through, you have the follow-up rotation. There was that one time where they overextended, there was a double teleport in the top side of the map, but then they found objectives on the bottom side of the map right afterwards. They were always pushing their advantage. They were always pushing the fact that they had so much rotational power with the comp that they had. But I was very impressed, and you know, it was very similar to game one in a lot of ways, but the big difference was they played a lot safer through the later parts, didn't overextend, didn't make huge mistakes, but at the same time they pushed the envelope of what was possible. They pushed lanes really hard, and once you get an inhibitor down, it's like you don't have a 1-3-1 anymore, you have a 1-4, and then the other lane is pushed by super minions, right? So they got to group a lot better, they got to fight a lot harder in those last few moments, and despite the double Zonias to try to survive through and do that burst damage, Yukao's like, please, just let me have this long fight so I could do so much damage with my Victor. They never got that chance.
They never did. I do like how they fought back tooth and nail. They tried to claw it back there, but it just wasn't meant to be. They lost a little bit too much early on in the game, and Afreeca, definitely big props to them. I would also agree with you. I think that Dread deserves the player of the game in that one. And we'll take a look at some of the stats, the post-game stats here, just to see the breakdown of how it did go down. Note that KT did not take a single tower